And there are 3 heartbeats. See right there.
3.
Are you sure?
Oh, wow.
It was a quiet Tuesday morning in Southern California when Laura Bennett and her husband, Evan Bennett, pulled into the parking lot of a small medical center near the coast. The sun was bright, the air was warm, and everything about the day felt ordinary. Too ordinary, in fact. Laura was only a few months into her pregnancy, and the ultrasound appointment was meant to be routine. Just a simple check to make sure everything was progressing normally. They had no reason to be nervous, no warning signs, no strange symptoms. Laura felt tired, sure, but pregnancy fatigue was nothing new. Evan even joked on the drive over about stopping for breakfast afterward, confident they'd be out in no time. Neither of them had the slightest idea that their lives were about to flip upside down. Inside the dimly lit ultrasound room, the technician applied gel and smiled politely, her eyes focused on the screen. Laura squeezed Evan's hand, watching the blurry black and white images appear. At first, everything seemed normal. The steady rhythm of a heartbeat filled the room, and Laura let out a quiet breath of relief. Then the technician paused. She leaned closer to the screen. Her smile faded into a look of concentration. Seconds passed. Then, more seconds. Evan felt Laura's grip tighten. "Is everything okay?" Laura finally asked, her voice shaky. The technician hesitated, then cleared her throat. "Well," she said slowly, "everything looks healthy." Another pause. "But I'm seeing more than one heartbeat." Laura laughed nervously. "Twins?" The technician tilted her head. "Not exactly." She turned the screen slightly toward them and pointed. 1, 2, 3. The room went silent. Laura blinked. Evan laughed, a short, disbelieving sound. "Wait, 3 what?" Evan asked. The technician smiled now, clearly enjoying the moment. 3 babies. Laura's jaw dropped. Her heart raced. She felt dizzy. "Triplets?" she whispered. The technician nodded. For a full 10 seconds, neither Laura nor Evan said a word. Then Evan broke the silence. "I swear," he said, shaking his head, "I should have bought a lottery ticket this morning." Laura burst into laughter, the kind that comes from shock, joy, fear, and disbelief all mixed together. Then suddenly she started crying. 3 babies. They had talked about having kids someday. Maybe 2. Maybe 3 over many years. But 3 at once? That had never crossed their minds. There were no twins in either of their families. No fertility treatments. Nothing unusual. This pregnancy had happened completely naturally. The odds were staggering. As the appointment continued, the doctor explained what they were seeing. 2 of the babies were identical and sharing one placenta, while the third had her own. That detail alone added complexity and risk to the pregnancy. Laura listened carefully, her hands resting protectively on her belly. Multiple pregnancies require close monitoring, the doctor said gently. But right now, everything looks stable. Stable. That word became their lifeline. When they finally left the clinic, the sun felt brighter than before. Evan helped Laura into the car, still shaking his head in disbelief. "So," he said, turning the key, "we're officially outnumbered." Laura laughed again, but this time there was fear behind it. "Promise me we'll be okay," she said quietly. Evan reached for her hand. "We will be, somehow." The weeks that followed were a whirlwind. Doctor visits became frequent, ultrasounds became longer. Laura's body changed faster than she ever imagined possible. By the end of her second trimester, strangers would stop her in grocery stores to ask if she was about to pop. At night, Laura lay awake, feeling 3 tiny movements inside her, each kick a reminder of the responsibility she now carried. Evan did his best to stay strong, but even he admitted the fear sometimes crept in. "How do you prepare for 3 newborns at once?" he asked one night. Laura smiled faintly. "You don't. You just hope you're strong enough." Doctors kept a close eye on Laura's cervix, knowing the risk of preterm labor was high with triplets. Eventually, they recommended a medical procedure to help support the pregnancy and reduce the chance of early delivery. The decision wasn't easy. Laura cried the night before the procedure, terrified of complications. Evan held her hand, whispering reassurances he wasn't entirely sure about himself. But the procedure was successful. Weeks passed, then more weeks. Every additional day felt like a victory. "She's doing incredibly well," one specialist told them during a visit. Laura was 30 weeks along, far longer than many triplet pregnancies reach. Then came week 32. Laura woke up one morning with a strange feeling. Not pain, but pressure. She knew something was different. By the afternoon, doctors decided it was time. The babies were ready to meet the world, whether their parents were ready or not. Laura walked into the operating room on her own 2 feet. Nurses smiled in amazement. "You've made it so far," one of them said. Evan kissed Laura's forehead before putting on scrubs. "Today," he said, voice trembling, "we become a family of 5. The delivery was fast, intense, emotional. 3 tiny cries filled the room, each one stronger than the last. Mila, Sophie, and Grace were born small but fighting. Each weighed just over 3 pounds. They were rushed to the neonatal intensive care unit, where machines and wires surrounded them. Laura cried tears of relief. Evan cried tears of awe. They had made it. The days in the NICU were some of the hardest of their lives. Watching their daughters through incubator glass, unable to hold them freely, tested every ounce of patience they had. But the babies grew stronger every day. 3 weeks later, they finally brought all 3 girls home. Now, months later, the once fragile babies are thriving. Chubby cheeks, strong lungs, and curious eyes. Each is nearing 7 pounds, filling the house with noise, laughter, and chaos. People still call them a miracle. Laura smiles every time she hears it. "Maybe they are," she says softly. Before we continue this incredible journey, if stories like this inspire you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us share more real-life moments that remind us how powerful life can be. And as their story continues, one thing becomes clear. Sometimes life doesn't follow the plan you imagined, but it gives you something even greater. The first night all 3 babies were home felt unreal. The house was quiet for only a few minutes, and then everything changed. Laura sat on the couch, holding one baby against her chest while listening to the soft whimpers coming from the nursery. Evan was on the floor nearby, surrounded by bottles, diapers, burp cloths, and instruction manuals they had barely opened. The air smelled faintly of formula and disinfectant, a scent that had become strangely comforting since their time in the NICU. 3 cribs stood side by side in the nursery. 3 tiny lives. 3 completely different personalities, even this early. Mila slept peacefully, barely making a sound. Sophie stirred often, stretching her tiny fingers like she was already impatient with the world. Grace had opinions, loud ones. Evan stood up quickly when Grace started crying again. "I've got her," he said, even though his eyes were heavy with exhaustion. Laura watched him, a mix of pride and worry in her chest. They were both running on almost no sleep, surviving on adrenaline, love, and fear. The days blurred together. Feedings every 2 hours, diaper changes that never seemed to end, doctor appointments that filled the calendar faster than Laura could keep track of. Every outing felt like a military operation. 3 car seats, 3 diaper bags, 3 blankets. Strangers stared wherever they went. Some smiled. Some asked questions. Others just looked shocked. Are they triplets? Were they planned? How do you do it? Laura usually smiled politely, but inside, she often wondered the same thing. At night, when the house finally went quiet, fear crept in. What if one baby got sick? What if she missed a feeding? What if she wasn't enough for all 3 of them? She confessed these thoughts to Evan one evening while rocking Mila. "I'm scared I'll fail them," she whispered. Evan knelt in front of her. "You won't," he said firmly. "And even if we mess up sometimes, we'll mess up together." Weeks passed, and the girls grew stronger. Their cheeks filled out. Their cries grew louder. Their personalities became impossible to ignore. Mila was calm and observant, always watching quietly. Sophie was curious, turning her head at every sound. Grace demanded attention, her voice sharp and determined. Doctors were amazed at how well they were progressing, especially considering how early they had arrived. Each checkup brought relief and new challenges. Laura's body, however, was still recovering. Carrying triplets had taken a toll. She experienced back pain, fatigue, and emotional swings she hadn't expected. One afternoon, overwhelmed and alone, she sat on the bathroom floor and cried. Not because she didn't love her children, but because loving 3 at once was overwhelming in ways no one could truly explain. Evan noticed the signs. He started taking over nighttime feedings when he could. He learned how to soothe all 3 babies differently. He even learned how to braid tiny strands of hair, badly, but with effort. Friends and family offered help, but even help came with complications. Everyone had opinions. Everyone had advice. You should let them cry it out. You should hold them more. You should separate their schedules. Laura learned to nod and smile, and then trust her instincts instead. One evening, during a rare moment of calm, Laura and Evan sat together watching the girls sleep. "Do you ever think about that ultrasound day?" Evan asked quietly. Laura smiled. "All the time," she said. "I walked in thinking my life was simple, and walked out with a future I never imagined." Evan laughed softly. "And now we can't imagine life without them." But just as things began to feel manageable, life tested them again. Grace developed breathing issues late one night. Her chest moved too fast. Her color looked off. Laura's heart dropped instantly. Within minutes, they were back in the hospital, the same halls they thought they had left behind. Doctors reassured them it was common for premature babies. But hearing that didn't stop the fear. Laura sat by Grace's crib, tears streaming down her face. "We just got home," she whispered. Evan held her tightly. "She's strong," he said. "They all are." Grace recovered quickly and was home again within days, but the experience left a mark. It reminded them how fragile everything still was. From that moment on, Laura stopped worrying about perfection. The house didn't have to be spotless. Schedules didn't have to be exact. All that mattered was love and showing up every single day. Months passed. The girls began smiling, laughing, recognizing voices. The house filled with joy instead of fear. One afternoon, Laura placed all 3 babies on a blanket and watched them interact for the first time. Sophie reached for Mila's hand. Grace kicked excitedly, babbling loudly. Laura laughed through tears. "They're really here," she whispered. Evan captured the moment on his phone. "Someday," he said, "we'll tell them how surprised we were." Laura nodded. "And how scared. And how lucky." What started as a routine appointment had turned into a life-altering journey, filled with uncertainty, exhaustion, and moments of pure magic. And as the Bennetts learned day by day, miracles don't always arrive quietly. Sometimes they arrive 3 at a time. By the time the girls turned 6 months old, the Bennett household no longer felt like a place recovering from chaos. It felt like a home full of rhythm, noise, and life. Not calm, but alive in the best possible way. Morning light spilled through the curtains as Laura stood in the kitchen, gently bouncing Sophie in her arms, while a bottle warmed on the counter. Mila lay quietly on a playmat, watching the ceiling fan spin, completely fascinated. Grace, true to form, announced her presence from the living room with a loud, demanding cry. Evan laughed from down the hall. "Let me guess," he said. "Grace wants attention immediately." Laura smiled, even though her arms were tired. "She always does," she replied. What once felt overwhelming had slowly become familiar. Not easy, but manageable. The girls' pediatrician visits had changed too. Where once the focus was on weight gain and oxygen levels, now the conversations were about milestones. Rolling over, grasping toys, recognizing faces. The doctor flipped through their charts and shook his head in amazement. "They're doing remarkably well," he said. "Most people would never guess they were born 8 weeks early." Laura felt a wave of pride wash over her. Every sleepless night, every anxious moment, every tear, it had all led to this. Life outside the house slowly resumed. Short walks became longer outings. Grocery trips turned into quick park visits. People still stared. 3 identical-sized babies in a row attracted attention. But Laura no longer shrank under their gaze. Instead, she stood taller. "Yes," she would say confidently, "they're triplets." And every time, she felt stronger. One afternoon, while organizing baby clothes that the girls had already outgrown, Laura paused. Tiny socks, premature onesies, NICU wristbands carefully tucked away in a box. She sat on the floor and let the memories rush back. The fear, the uncertainty, the sound of monitors beeping in the dark. Evan joined her silently. "Hard to believe how far they've come," he said. Laura nodded. "There were days I didn't think I could do it." Evan looked at her seriously. "But you did," he said. "Every single day." As the girls grew, their differences became even more obvious. Mila was thoughtful and calm, always observing before acting. Sophie was playful and curious, quick to smile at anyone who walked by. Grace was bold and fearless, crawling faster than the others and demanding independence early. Laura and Evan often joked that they were raising 3 completely different worlds under one roof. The anniversary of that unforgettable ultrasound day arrived quietly. No celebration, no big announcement. Just Laura and Evan sitting together after the girls had fallen asleep. Evan broke the silence. "Do you ever think about how close we came to missing this?" Laura nodded. "I think about how fragile everything was," she said, "and how lucky we are that it held together." They sat there for a long moment, listening to the soft breathing from the nursery. Eventually, friends began asking Laura for advice. "How do you survive triplets? How do you stay sane?" Laura always answered the same way. You don't do it perfectly, she said. You just do it with love. She had learned that strength doesn't mean never breaking down. It means getting back up, even when you're exhausted. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Laura placed the girls in their cribs and watched them settle. 3 small chests rising and falling in sync. She felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. Not because everything was easy, but because everything was real. Evan wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "Remember when we thought our lives were simple?" he joked. Laura laughed softly. "I wouldn't trade this chaos for anything," she said. The story of the Bennetts isn't about luck alone. It's about resilience, trust, and embracing the unexpected. It's about finding strength you didn't know you had, and discovering that love multiplies when you least expect it. Because sometimes life doesn't just surprise you, it overwhelms you, and then teaches you how to rise. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends.